Budget implementation. It is the European Commission that is responsible for implementing the EU budget in close cooperation with the EU member states, subject to political scrutiny by the European Parliament. The implementation of the budget involves two types of operations: commitments and actual payments. Now, let's examine the methods, followed by the rules of implementation. Methods of implementation. Guided by principles of transparency, efficiency, and subsidiarity, the European Commission's methods of implementing the EU budget are designed to apply these principles in practice. Whether directly managed or shared with member states, each method aims to ensure that European funds are utilised in an effective manner for the benefit of its citizens. The European Commission may implement the EU budget in one of the following ways: directly, by its departments or executive agencies called direct management, in practice about 20% of the EU budget; jointly with the EU member states called shared management, around 70% of the budget; indirectly through non-EU countries, international organisations and others called indirect management, which is about 10% of the budget. Member states which implement the budget incorrectly are penalised under the clearance of accounts procedure and in the context of eligibility checks following audits carried out by the Commission and the European Court of Auditors. The revenue that national governments receive from the EU budget is offset by a request for repayment of funds that were unduly allocated. Rules of implementation. The principles and rules governing the implementation of the budget are enshrined in the so-called financial regulation. Due to its horizontal scope, it is applicable to all areas of expenditure and revenue. The Commission's main tool for implementing the budget and for monitoring its execution is its computerized accounting system, ABAC, accruals-based accounting. Budgetary implementation aims to meet the highest international accounting standards, in particular the International Public Sector Accounting Standards (IPSAS), established by the International Federation of Accountants (IFAC). It must also comply with EU legislation applicable to public procurement contracts. To protect the EU's financial interests, the Early Detection and Exclusion System, EDIS, is in place. Its role is to identify persons and entities that might be unreliable when applying for EU funds or when in a contractual relation with the Commission or other institutions. Once identified, these entities can be excluded and fined as appropriate.